Hey guys, so today I thought we'd just do just a chill sit down, discussion video. I went onto the community page and was like, give me some random topics that you guys would want me to chat about. And I just watched Insidious as well. By the time this is up, I'm assuming my Insidious commentary should be up as well. So yeah, I'm just needing to, just chill, chat, just sort of, express thoughts, feelings on topics that you guys have asked me about. So yeah, let's just sort of go through general gist of some of the questions that you've asked, some of the topics, and just sort of have just a chill sit down video. Okay, so I do have a few, I just had a little glimpse of them, and I do have a few that are asking about Australia in general, what it's like in Australia in regards to people's thoughts and culture and all that kind of stuff. I think a lot of people think that Australians are all accepting and loving, just from what I've kind of gotten from comments in the past. Everyone's saying that Australia is a really happy place. If you live here, it's not like that. Because we're so isolated, people don't really know much about our culture, but there are a lot of people on both sides, both extremes. You have extremists from both sides, so don't think that Australia is perfect. We're really not perfect. Someone asked about our weather, saying it's mild and pleasant. It's not. In Melbourne, it'll be 4 seasons in one day. It'll be sunny and shining, and then it'll just be downpour, hailing, fucking freezing. It also depends what state you're in. With Melbourne, it's really it goes from one extreme to the other. There's wildfires, there's cyclones, there's droughts, there's floods. I think people should visit Australia, but there isn't a lot to do. I guess it's the same for a lot of people when they live in their country. They're yeah, our country's interesting, but I prefer to go somewhere else because they don't find their country that interesting. At least that is for me. I don't think Australia is the most touristy place. If people asked, oh, where should I travel in Australia? Honestly, I don't think Melbourne or Sydney would be my top choices at all. I think Melbourne is good social-wise and the social scene, the music scene, the coffee scene. It's very culture-driven in Melbourne, and that's why I love it. To live, but not to travel. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend Australia to be your first choice to come to. I don't think so. I would prefer to go to a lot of other countries, I think, that have a lot more to offer. Also, people talk about the dangers of Australia in regards to our animals. And I think this is something I definitely want to address. Now, it depends where you live. If you live in a metro area like I do, if you live in the suburbs or whatever in the city, you're not going to interact with any animals whatsoever. You might see spiders, but they're not that big. I went to Queensland this year to stay with my parents for a couple of months because I wasn't employed. They live on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, so near the beach, but their friends live more inward in the trees and the bush, and they sent photos of literally a python's skin wrapped around the pillar of their house. So yeah, if you live in the bush, you'll interact with huge fucking spiders and snakes and all that shit. But if you're just going to a city, you're fine. Have you had any encounters with wildlife? No, I haven't. I don't think so. I don't really go out into the bush that often. You know what? I saw some huge ass possums at our old holiday house. They're feral. They're feral, the possums. This is out in the bush, near Mount Buller, near the mountains. The possum, it's huge, it's ginormous, and you don't want to go anywhere near it. Australia's values include respect for the freedom and dignity of the individual, freedom of religion, including the freedom not to follow a particular religion, freedom of speech, and freedom of association. Australian values mutual respect, tolerance, compassion for those in need, and equality of opportunity for all. Shouldn't that just be general for everyone? In general, shouldn't you just acknowledge that other people have different thoughts to you and don't believe the same thing as you? Just don't interact with them if you don't want to. It's not that hard. Just don't talk to them. Just turn the video off. Just ignore them. Don't reply to them. It's that easy. It's not that hard. I don't see why life is so difficult and people to understand that when you just don't need to talk to them if you don't want to. That's it. That's like it with my comments. If there's like a shitty comment, I'm like, yeah, whatever. You're a shitty person. You don't give a fuck. You're just on the other end of the other side of the screen. You pussy. You're a pussy. If you do that shit online, you're a pussy. Films that deserve more appreciation and recognition. I mentioned Upgrade at one point. Predestination is always one that I bring up. I need to rewatch Upgrade because I watched it once and I want to rewatch it again. I just remember really liking it. I don't remember much from it. Is that a James Wan film or a Lee Winnell film? I feel like it is. Maybe, potentially, I can't remember. Your own unpopular and controversial opinions about movie, TV shows, studios, and actors. Okay, so controversial topics. I think like certain ones maybe like Disney being a monopoly, cancel culture. There's like a lot of stuff that gets blown out of proportion. The idea of cancel culture is a very hot topic, like that isn't one that I really talk about that much. There's certain things that people do where yes, you should just cancel them completely, but also there's an extent, I think there's sort of like, it's hard. It's a grey area. It's a serious grey area. I think cancel culture can be very harming for people. They may have done something like 15 years ago, said something like 10 years ago in a tweet. What if they tweeted it and they were like 15? 10 years later, they're 25. Like, they may be a completely different person. And I think like cancelling someone for something they said as a teenager, as a child, like ruining them as an adult. I think if they've changed their opinions, if their actions don't reflect those words anymore, then cancelling someone completely, like, I think is pretty extreme. Controversial topics, like I think people should definitely talk about certain things, be open for discussion, but it's so hard in this day and age to have discussions and talk about your opinions with people without it being, I don't know, like a big deal or aggressive or like going like to an extreme extent, like further than it really needs to go. I don't like to speak on things a lot of the time because I don't have all of the knowledge. And I think that's also a thing where people jump on and create opinions too fast without knowing all the facts. I think that's really harmful. And when you want to talk to someone about something, you need to know what you're talking about. You need to have done your research in order to have a solid opinion that at least has some sort of solid foundation. Because if you're basing your arguments on emotion rather than logic, it's not a good way to start a conversation with someone. It's really not. So I think that's what's detrimental a lot of the time when people are trying to talk about how they feel about a certain time that someone's cancelled or an event that happens, something that's, you know, not looked upon very likely in a good light. There's all these different little things that are happening in the film industry that I don't know about. Like I hear about, but I don't really know about. Like Harvey Weinstein. Like fuck that dude. There is like no question that needs to be made or like doubt in my mind when it comes to something like that. When it comes to those sort of things that are pretty much solid in fact, like yes, I can have an opinion on that. But when it's something that I don't have all the facts, I'm not going to say yes or no. I'm not going to say this is right, this is wrong, you're stupid. Because I don't know what I'm talking about. So you leave it open for the people who know what they're talking about. Oh God, I feel like I've gone downhill. Let's lighten the mood a little bit. I want to know more about your doggo. Oh, Zoe, do you want to know more about Zoe? Zoe's very cute. She's a cavoodle. She's black with a white stripe here, and she hasn't had a haircut in a while, so she's like this big fat thing. She's like big puffy, like fluffy thing. She needs a haircut. She does. She's 3.5. We had a dog before Zoe. Her name was Jess, and she was a blonde cavoodle, and we had her for 11 years. Yeah, and she was on meds because cavoodles are very common. I think it's the Cav side, not the poodle. I think it's the Cav side that have heart issues once they get older. But then yeah, she passed away. And then later that year we decided to get Zoe, and so we've had her for 3 years, and she's the cutest and adorable, and I love her, and she literally sleeps at night on my bed with me because she's cute. Biggest differences between Aussies and Americans, obviously. Well, you can talk about like the measurement system, the metric system, that's different. Apparently our toilets flush the opposite direction. What was their differences when I was there? Your bread was really sweet. Well, we pronounce things differently, and people take offense to that. People take a lot of offense to that when I bring it up in videos. Apparently language and people's accents are very sensitive topics for Americans, apparently. I don't know why, but I don't mean to offend. How much do you benefit from YouTube? What are the legal/tax issues you run into with YouTube? How often is your content flagged for copyright and or inappropriate content? Is there a lot of racism where you live? Oh God, that's a lot of questions. Okay, let's start off with how much do you benefit from YouTube? What are the legal/tax issues you run into with YouTube? So recently they've introduced the US tax onto people who have videos monetized. The income you get from monetized from US viewing, they take a certain amount of tax. But yeah, it depends how much you earn, I guess, as well, where you live. It's very like a fiddly sort of aspect. You get paid by AdSense. AdSense is like the company, through YouTube, through Google, all that kind of stuff, and you get paid every month. And it's a good side gig, it's a good thing to have on the side, but like having an actual job is definitely much better. Copyright issues. Yeah, copyright issues, we can go on to that. Copyright is a fucking issue, and fair use is not a thing for production companies and YouTube. It's not. Like, you can ask any person who puts anything to do with movies, any footage, any audio, anything in their videos. You can talk to them and I'm sure they have a story where they've had copyright issues. I'm 100% certain that it will have at least one. My worst incident was when I put my commentary up for Spree. Now, I did this earlier this year, and it was up for a couple of days, and then out of nowhere, it's like, you need to delete this or your channel will get a strike. So there's a difference between getting a copyright strike and getting a channel strike. Channel strikes, you have 3 and then your channel is deleted permanently. Copyright strikes are like, you can't earn any revenue, they'll limit the countries that it can be seen. So copyright strikes are usually where they just take any sort of monetary like income that you get, any revenue. There are plenty of my videos that are copyright striked that I get no income from. Yeah, that one with Spree, I was like freaking the fuck out. It was like 2-3 a.m. and I saw it come up and I'm like, I have never seen this in the 7 years that I've been doing YouTube, and I'm like, shit, delete this video, delete it. And I just deleted it straight away. I didn't even question it. I was like, it's a fucking video, it doesn't matter, and I just got rid of it. I am a tiny little YouTuber. I don't get really much money at all from my channel, and I edit the hell out of the movie. I never have 20 seconds, even 10 seconds of footage. It's always less than maybe 7 seconds, max 8 seconds of footage. And usually it's not all the audio, or it's been zoomed in at a point. Like, I edit the shit out of my videos. So when they're copyright striked, I'm like, what the fuck do you think fair use is? Is that even a thing? Because apparently not. People who watch commentaries, who don't do commentaries and edit like we do, don't understand that you have to chop up footage. You can't just have footage or audio, because you'll most likely get blocked or copyright striked. Yes, that's the other thing. If you can get copyright striked and they'll still keep it up and take the money, or they can block it completely. Like my Dark Knight one got blocked. You don't really understand it until you're actually doing it, that you have to go through like leaps and bounds, through hoops. You have to go through so many things to make sure that your video can actually be viewed. And that's what's really frustrating. So if you're gonna start YouTube or be a content creator and do this kind of shit, just be aware of that. Just know that going into it, you're gonna have issues if you're gonna do anything similar to what I do. Is there a lot of racism where you live? There's racism everywhere. What are you talking about? Everywhere. There isn't like one country that doesn't have anyone racist in it. It's the world. Like, my dad dealt with it when he came to Australia in, how old was he? He was 13, so like in early 70s. He came from Cyprus, he's Greek Cypriot. So many slurs directed towards him when he was younger. I was fine because my mum is Australian, so she's Caucasian, she's white. I can't speak of it personally because I'm privileged enough to not have experienced that in my life. So I can't really talk on behalf of racism for people who actually experience it. Like, that's not my place to talk about it. Shit happens everywhere. It's not just in one country, it's everywhere in our country. So yeah, don't think that we're all happy here, because it's not a thing. Shows you've been to, trips you've been on, shows I've been to. I've been to a lot of DJs, a lot of bands. I've been to a lot of live gigs. I've actually had like the opportunity to see a lot of my favorite bands, go to different festivals. Tame Impala, Fatboy Slim, Swedish House Mafia, Flume, Rufus Du Sol I saw twice, Cassian, what else? I went to Big Day Out, I went to Soundwave. I've been to like so many things, and yeah, it sucks that currently everything is closed. It's very frustrating. Our summer was great. Over January, like December, January, start of Feb, everything was great here. And then shit happened and shit went down, and now we've been in lockdown on and off since then. But I just love going to musical events and festivals. Like, there's so much fun. I like live for them. They're so good. I am very much a muso. I'm very much a music person. You know what? One of my favorites, Queens of the Stone Age and 9-Inch-Nails. And it was a split one where 9-Inch-Nails played for like 90 minutes and then Queens of the Stone Age played for 90 minutes. So it was fucking amazing. It was the best. It was so good. I saw Foals. Foals, oh my god, I love Foals so much. Like, Foals is great. The only people that I want and that have been on my bucket list forever are Radiohead. I want to see Radiohead. I want to see Tom York. Like, that is my, like, on my bucket list to see them live. Oh, also Hans Zimmer. I saw Hans Zimmer live. Oh fuck, that was amazing. That was incredible. How can I forget about Hans Zimmer? Advice for people feeling lonely, especially your American friends who feel frustrated about the politicization of the virus here and its seemingly never-ending cycle. It's not just you guys. It's not just you guys that are getting political over this shit. People feeling lonely. I dealt with 14 months of being unemployed from May last year. It was a strange time. Like, I was literally just in my bed for 4 months straight when we had our 4-month lockdown. It was a difficult time for everyone, but when you don't have a job, and especially people who live alone, like, it's another level. It's another level when you're unemployed and live by yourself. Like, I couldn't imagine if I didn't live with other people. Being alone, I think you need to find the things that you love. Like, I don't socialize at all. I think some people might think that I'm an extroverted person. I don't know. I feel like I should do like an assumptions video or something like that to see what you guys actually think I'm like. But personally, I'm like a total introvert. I like going out with friends, but I don't like going out with a big group of people, and I barely want to really leave my house. Like, lockdown was hard, but also it wasn't for me. I just went into my shell, and I think that's why I like filming and editing, because it's something I can do by myself. I do it by myself. I sit here, I watch a movie, I edit it, I upload it, you guys watch it, and then I can comment back and forth with you guys. Like, it's just something for myself. I don't know how to solve loneliness because I haven't done it myself. Like, I haven't been able to solve that mystery. It is a mystery, and I don't really have any advice for that. I don't have advice for being lonely because that's something that I experience too. I feel like I've gone down a really dark path with this topic, with this question. Yeah, but I think like these kinds of chats are important to know that you're not the only one. You know, you're not the only person who is lonely or, you know, by themselves or doesn't know what they're doing with their life. Like, I don't. I have no answers for anything. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm kind of just taking it every day, one day at a time. You know what I mean? Like, I can't plan things. And I'm sure there are other people out there that feel exactly the same way. But sometimes you just feel like you're alone in it all. I'm sorry I couldn't really help with that in any way, but maybe it helps to know that other people feel the same way as you do. Let's try and lighten this mood. Let's try and lighten the topics. What is your go-to film rewatch when you need cheering up? My go-to rewatches are usually dance movies. The dance like franchises. So these are like Honey, like the Step Up franchise, Center Stage, even Center Stage 2. Like, they're shit films, but they make me happy watching them. I just love dance and musical like films. Anything, you know, Disney animated, DreamWorks sort of stuff like that always puts me in a really happy mood. But I have to pick the right one, because a lot of like Disney and Pixar and DreamWorks and like all of that, they can be very sad at the same time. So you have to pick the right one to watch. Like, I'll watch Hercules because Hercules is always happy and I can sing along to it and it will make me happy. I don't know. It's weird because you'd think like comedy would be your first choice if you want to be in a happy mood. But for me, it's not. It's for things with music. Anything musical related usually puts me in a good mood. If I'm trying to lighten my spirits a little bit better, that's definitely my first preference. Different movie tastes among family and friends, perhaps. Do a lot of people you know like to discuss and analyze films? I am the only movie person in my family. My family likes to watch movies and TV, but they don't have any passion for it. Like, they don't have a passion like I do about it. So when it comes to discussing it with people, I just have internet people to discuss movies with. I don't really have anyone in my real life to talk about it. That was the main reason why I started YouTube, because I needed people to talk to about what I love. With family, like, and friends, everyone has different tastes in films. Like, I remember seeing La La Land. I saw it myself the first time, and then I went and saw it with my brother and my mum, and I think Dave thought it was okay, but my mum did not like it. She didn't like it at all. She like really despised the movie. She didn't like it. But yeah, I mean, everyone has different opinions and different thoughts on movies and TV, and that's why everyone has their preferences when it comes to what they want to watch if they're just in a bad mood. I do feel really happy when I can convince someone to watch something and then they enjoy it. That brings me joy. When I like say, you should watch this, and then someone watches it and they absolutely love it. Like, that's one thing that I just adore. It makes me very, very accomplished and proud of myself that I've been like, that person watched it and loved it, and now I can talk to them about it. Locations in a book, movie or TV show that piqued your interest in visiting the real place when you're able to travel again. New Zealand has always been the one place that I've wanted to visit, at least recently. I've always wanted to go there, purely because of Lord of the Rings, obviously. So yeah, that's probably my number one place that I've wanted to go to, because of just the locations is so beautiful. I'm conflicted because I want to go skiing there, and that would be during winter, but also I don't want to travel during winter because it's fucking freezing. So I'd probably choose to go during summer, I think, so that I can visit the Lord of the Rings like locations and Hobbiton and all that. Okay, I've done a lot of talking and I'm quite exhausted now. So I am going to go and get food, chuck on maybe Hercules. Let's see if it's on Netflix. I don't know if it's on Netflix. And just have a good old time. So this was fun, just to sort of sit down and just talk. I guess sometimes it's good to like vent about things. If you want to follow me on any of my socials, I do a lot of posting on my Instagram stories. I like to do voting on there and just like random shit. I post like favorite music and that kind of stuff. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, sometimes I do random thoughts on Twitter. I have Letterboxd where I log my movies. I never really like plugged my socials before, but I'm plugging them now. If you're interested on any more of my thoughts, I sometimes put stuff out there, sometimes. So yeah, feel free to. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you guys later.